Hi, this is Antonio Galimberti from AG Languages. Today we are going to talk about essay organization. And this is the essay we will be talking about. It says, what influences the values of a generation? Give reasons and examples to support your response. In this video, we are not going to talk about grammar, punctuation, vocabulary, or stuff like that. We will focus on how well this essay is organized. Under the description of this video, you can find information in order to request a PDF copy of the essay so that you can use it for your benefit. So how many words does the essay have? 352 paragraphs. For the student wrote this essay in 40 minutes. The introduction has 82 words. The first body paragraph has 89 words. The next one, 87, and the conclusion originally had 94 words. Okay, so remember, we're gonna focus on organization. Okay, so task. First of all, we need to understand the task. What is the task about? What influences the values of a generation? Give reasons and examples to support your response. Okay, that's clear. It's an easy question, I would say. So I will read the introduction. It says, we all know that humans have been inhabiting the earth for a long time. Over this time, different types of generations have been seen in the world stage, each one of them with its unique characteristics and values. What shapes a generation is still a debatable issue, and many theories have come up in order to explain and give an answer to that question. Although there may be multiple factors which influence the values of a generation, there exist two main factors. Okay, we have a hook in light blue that gets the reader's attention. That's beautiful and perfect. Then in orange, we have background information that provides context and also defines some arguments or concepts, I should say. So the objective of orange here is not explaining anything, is not giving examples, but providing context. Beautiful. And then we have in yellow the thesis statement. The thesis statement is the most important sentence in the essay. It is going to tell you what the essay is going to be about. So according to this thesis statement, this student is going to write about two main factors. Two main factors. And according to the task, two main factors that influence the values of a generation, not this generation, a generation. It can be any generation. Okay, so here we have a problem in the underlined sentence. What is the problem? This is what we call a fragment. What is a fragment? A fragment is a group of words that is not part of a sentence. It's just right there, but it is not part of a sentence. Listen, I will read the underlined sentence in the introduction. It says, each one of them with its unique characteristics and values. My question is, which is the subject? Which is the verb? We don't have a subject. We don't have a verb. That means that this is not a sentence. It's a phrase. Okay? So what is the problem here? We create fragments when we do not use punctuation properly. It is true that here, when you are doing the reading, you have to pause because a logical idea finishes right before that. However, if you put a period, you are isolating the underlined part from the previous one and creating a fragment. So what do? You put a comma, and then you have this. So by doing this, you are joining, connecting this long phrase with the previous sentence. So now we can say that that phrase, the ending phrase, belongs to the previous part of the sentence. And now we have a mega sentence. All of this is a sentence, right? And we don't have a fragment anymore. right? So make sure that you don't create fragments by using punctuation um, in a in an incorrect way. Nice. But all the ideas, in my opinion, are good. A 89. We start a body paragraph with a topic sentence. Okay, what is a topic sentence? A topic sentence has two elements. It has a topic and it also has a controlling idea. What is the topic? The topic is the main theme, the main subject in your paragraph, and the controlling idea is what you say about the main subject. So let's read the topic sentence here. According, first of all, to the thesis statement in the introduction, this student is going to write about two main factors that influence the values of a generation. Let's see if the topic sentence is about that. In yellow, it says, for one thing, critical events are one factor that influences a generation in terms of values. Okay, good. Are they related? Yes, she's talking about one factor, and that's beautiful. So, what is the topic? The topic is critical events. She's going to write about critical events. And what is the controlling idea? In other words, what is she going to say about critical events? She's going to say that critical events influence a generation in terms of values. Okay? Let's continue reading the paragraph. Critical events such as wars or the sudden death of someone important can profoundly affect a generation. Take, for example, the greatest generation who lived in the middle of World War II. Their values and way of thinking was immensely affected by this catastrophic event. They were modest and humble because they learned how to live with little money. Evidently, this great event shaped the values of the people living in that time. Okay, which values is she talking about? She's talking about modesty and humility. All right? So these are the values that she's addressing: modesty and humility. Correct. And she's saying that these values were generated, shaped, uh, created, let's say, by the critical events at that time. Beautiful. Is this out of topic? No, it's beautiful. It's a good paragraph, in my opinion. However, she's unnecessarily repeating critical events here. That's my opinion. You don't need to repeat that if you are just mention it right here. So it's clear enough for me that you're going to talk about critical events, such as, that means that she's mentioning two examples of critical events. The first one is wars, and the other one is the sudden death of someone important. So my question is, she's giving two examples of critical events: wars and the sudden death of someone important. But what is she developing? Is she talking about words? Yes. Is she talking about the effects of words in people's values? Yes. Now, is she talking about the sudden death of someone important? Not really, because if she were doing it, then she would be talking about heart attacks. Does she mean heart attacks? Does she mean car accidents? Mhm. Does she mean a fire, an earthquake? What does she mean by the sudden death of someone important? Well, it seems that she's giving two examples, but she's only developing one. In that case, we should be removing this one. Yes? And words. We don't need word. We don't need, in my opinion, the introduction. We just need this. That's it. You don't need to repeat critical events again. And don't mention sudden deaths because you're not developing that. You're only talking about wars. All right. Next, paragraph 87. Again, we need to identify the topic sentence, and the topic sentence has a controlling idea and the topic. The topic is the main theme or the main subject of the paragraph, and the controlling idea is what you say about the main subject. So the topic sentence is another thing that defines the values of a generation is music. Beautiful. What is the topic? Music. And what is the controlling idea? Defines the values of a generation. Very good. Is this topic sentence connected with the thesis statement in the introduction? Yes. Very good topic sentence. But as you can see, if you compare the two topic sentences in yellow that you see in the two body paragraphs, you can tell that the topic is mentioned first in the first topic sentence. But in the second topic sentence, you have the topic at the end of the sentence. Is that a problem? No, no, it is not a problem. So let's continue reading. By its lyrics and its messages, music shapes the mindset of people. Moreover, the generation of a particular time tends to follow the behavior of the singers in trend. To illustrate that, think about the generation who lived in the 80s. At that time, Madonna and her songs were idolized by teenagers and adults. As a result, they were widely influenced by Madonna's songs, which promoted a rebellious attitude and women empowerment. All right, nice. So she's talking about music, but what is she saying about music? She's talking about lyrics, very good. Messages, beautiful, that's clear. And the behavior of the singers in trend, nice. Now, then she's saying to illustrate that, my question is, what are you going to illustrate? Are you going to talk about lyrics, the messages in the songs, or the behavior of the singers? What are you going to illustrate? She says, think about the generation who lived in the 80s. Okay, but now what are you going to develop? Are you going to talk about lyrics, messages, or the behavior of singers? At that time, Madonna, okay, she's going to talk about a singer, and her songs, good, probably lyrics and messages, were idolized by teenagers and young adults. Okay, but she's not giving particular details on the lyrics. Okay, were the lyrics about sex, about violence, about drugs, the behavior of the singer? Which behavior? So a decent behavior, a respectful behavior, a liberal behavior. So we need information about that. Why? Because she's saying that she's going to give us examples. But we only find Madonna as an example of a singer from the 80s. But we have no information about the lyrics, the messages, and the behavior. It's true that we find it at the very end. Yes, at the very end of the paragraph, she's talking about this. Look, as a result of what? Mhm. As a result of this fact. Okay, but look at this. As a result, they were widely influenced by Madonna's songs. Now, we're going to read these two sentences and you're going to tell me if they are a repetition of the same thing. Listen, at that time, Madonna and her songs were idolized by teenagers and young adults. Okay, as a result, they were widely influenced by Madonna's songs. Okay, yes, that's correct. Do you have the feeling that there's some type of unnecessary repetition? Some people may think that there is a repetition. However, if you read carefully, you are going to see that here she's talking about how people idolized Madonna and the result, how they were influenced by Madonna. All right, nice, cool. Now, here is the problem, which promoted a rebellious attitude and women empowerment. Here, she's talking about the songs, the lyrics. Okay, but she's not giving me examples of the singer's behavior. Okay, so in my opinion, if you are gonna say that a singer's behavior influenced a generation, you have to give me an example, right? We only have examples about lyrics and messages. Which were the examples? They promoted rebellious attitude, and they promoted women empowerment. Okay, originally there was a mistake here. We need a comma here because this is a non-defining relative clause. A non-defining relative clause gives you additional information about something. It doesn't define something. That's why you need a comma right before the relative pronoun. Nice. Now, what about the conclusion? It says, to sum up, the values of a generation are mainly influenced by two factors. Okay, beautiful. We have the concluding phrase in green. We have the thesis statement paraphrased in yellow. As we have seen, critical events have a great influence and change the patterns of people's behavior. The other factor is music, which has the power of adjust people's mindset to the singer's mindset. Okay, she's summarizing the paragraph the two body paragraphs in two sentences. In my opinion, you can do it in just one sentence, so that you have more room in your paragraph for your final thoughts. If you take a look at this paragraph, it has 94 words, and the previous paragraph has 87 words. So it should be the other way around. All right. So maybe you can merge the two sentences into just one to summarize the two body paragraphs more concisely. Now, let's focus here on the conclusion or on the final thoughts. This reality makes us think a lot about our generation and the kind of values we're getting by current events such as the pandemic and the trends in music. Very good. Yes, we need to think about it. We need to think about it. Now, is she giving her opinion here? No. Is she introducing a different topic here? No. This is good. Why? Because if she introduces new information here, she will have to explain that information, and she will have to uh, add examples and reasons. But this is not the place to do that. Why? Because this is a conclusion. We're just saying goodbye and encouraging people to think about our arguments. Okay, so let's see if the original sentences were effective. Look, we have the original sentence right here. All right, so let's get it and let's put it right here. This was the original closing sentence. Okay. We may get discouraged when evaluating this fact, but anyway, there's nothing we can do about it. Personally speaking, I don't like light blue, this sentence. Why? Because it has a negative tone. And she's saying that we can get discouraged by evaluating what is happening uh, during the pandemic, what is happening because of the trends in music. We can get discouraged. My question is, why? Why? So now you have to write a paragraph to explain that to me. All right. And look at this conclusion. But anyway, there's nothing we can do about it. Why? You see? So why do I have this negative tone here? Or you will have to explain to me. You will have to explain it to me. Sorry. Look at this other sentence. This is another version. We may get discouraged when evaluating this fact. Now, why discouraged? Why? However, we still can deviate the wrong course our generation has taken into a good one. So here you are assuming that our generation is taking a wrong course. Why? Give me examples. You haven't talked about that in the previous paragraphs. So now I have a problem and I need one more paragraph to explain my point of view, but this is the conclusion. Let's see this. Another version. This reality makes us think a lot about our generation and the kind of values we're getting by current events and by the trend in music now. We may get discouraged when evaluating this fact, but anyway, there's nothing we can do about it. Yeah, discouraged. Why? We have the same problem. Look at this other version. Even though the future of our generation may not seem bright, why? You have to tell me what are those things that are so negative. You haven't mentioned anything negative about this generation before. We have only mentioned the pandemic and music, but we haven't said why music is negative in this generation. So if you are saying this, then you have to explain it, right? We still are hopeful to see future generations with better results. If you are saying better results, then you have to prove that now the results are not good and the values that people have are not good. So this is not the place to um, express such a negative point of view about what is happening, right? So it's better to have a neutral, a neutral standing, and to encourage people to reflect about what you have mentioned. Because here, if you read the task is not about saying if something is good or if something is bad. Yes, the task is about mentioning facts. And there are two facts that you have mentioned: critical events and music. But you are not necessarily saying that those facts are affecting a generation negatively. For example, when you talked about critical events like war, look, you talked about modesty and humility. Mhm. In the other paragraph, and that is positive, in the other paragraph, you talked about a rebellious attitude that may be seen as something negative and women empowerment. But many people believe that women empowerment is positive. So there's no reason to have a negative conclusion, right? Or a conclusion that sounds so negative. So look at this one. Having said so, we should all reflect on how the pandemic and the current trends in music are affecting our values so that we can become the best version of ourselves in order to set a fine example for future generations. Okay. Are you saying that things are terrible? No. Are you saying that things are amazing? No. Are you encouraging people to do something? Yes. So this is what you should be doing here, especially in this essay, because your essay is not about good and bad. It's not about black and white, right? It's about informing people about two factors that influence values. That's beautiful. I love this essay, very well developed, in my opinion. Awesome introduction, hook, background information, and thesis. The first body paragraph has a good topic sentence and a it is not out of topic. The same happens with the second paragraph, even though I believe the second body paragraph, even though I believe that there's some need of further information on singers' behavior. In the conclusion, we needed to change the last sentence, which had a negative tone, which was not appropriate. So thank you very much for watching this video. Remember that you can request the PDF version of the content that we have examined today. So thank you very much. See you next time. Bye-bye.